Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kocharl. The Sabarimala gold cladding controversy seems to be getting bigger and bigger by the day. What started as a very small thing has suddenly snowballed into enormous proportions. But what's the core issue that we have at hand here? At the heart of this controversy is the allegation that the gold offered to the temple, specifically the gold cladding that was done on certain temple idols and structures, which is the Dwarapalaka idols, which are on both sides of the main Sannidhanam, Sanctum Sanctorum, and the Peetams near the Sanctum Sanctorums have gone missing or have been misappropriated. Now the news is coming in that even the doors of the temple of Lord Ayyappa has been removed and taken away, and God knows where they are now. This is the problem. The Travancore Devasam Board, which is supposed to take care of this temple, which is one of the biggest and the most busiest temples during that time of the 68 days, is now searching for excuses. Lakhs and lakhs of devotees who repose their faith in Lord Ayyappa are suddenly shaken to the core. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what happened. But let's look at the key irregularities that have been reported. First is the unreported removal or special, without the permission of the special commissioner of Sabarimala. In fact, he told the court that certain gold-clad panels or the Dwarapalaka idols and the Peethams were removed on September 7th for repairs and sent to a firm in Chennai. And this was done without the prior notice to the special commissioner, who is actually a district magistrate. Now, why this was done, who did it, and what is it done for the first time? No, it happened before in 2019, and it may have happened later. But this time, God knows why, the crooks have been caught, and literally caught in a very, very desperate situation. The actual problem started when the discrepancies in the weight and the material accounting, in fact, go back to 2019. Similar patterns have been sent for gold plating. One doesn't understand, once a gold cladding is done, this is not a plating by the way, this is gold cladding, which means there's a sheet sitting on top of the copper sheet, which is placed and fixed with a mercury combination. And this time, there was a sponsor who came in and said, I'm going to put the gold in again. Why? When there is a gold already there. Gold doesn't just evaporate in thin air. It is there. The Golden Temple in Amritsar, how many hundreds of years ago was it built, and nothing has happened to it. Maharaja Ranjit Singh had given tons of gold for that. It's still in pristine condition. But why Sabarimala? Why the Dwarapalakas have been regularly removed and taken out and brought back? And each time, the measurements, that the weight of the Dwarapalakas have been different. The Travancore Devasam Board, which recorded them as copper plates, imagine when they were taken out from the Sannidhanam, and as per rule, they are not supposed to be taken out of the Sannidhanam, they are supposed to be repaired right there. But they were taken out not one, but twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times, because there are no records for it. But the last known record was that they were copper plates, when in effect, there is a gold cladding that was on top of that. In fact, this was recorded in the General Mazar, which is the official handover document that was given to the person who took it to Chennai. In this case, one Unnikrishnan Patti. In fact, the weight of the items returned after the 2019 work was about less, 4.141 kgs less than what it was documented, indicates that there was a loss of material. The question is, did the original cover come back, or what is there right now on the Dwarapalakas, a duplicate copper? In fact, this is a question that even the High Court asked itself. Was this cladding, the copper and gold cladding, sold to someone rich and powerful who would pay crores to keep that kind of thing in their puja room or in their house? In fact, the Kerala High Court has questioned why the gold cladding, when it was made originally thanks to a 1999 sponsorship by businessman Vijay Mallya of the UB Group, is being concealed in documents as copper. In fact, the UB group has recently clarified and told the court that about 1.5 kgs of the total 30 kilos of gold was used for the Dwarapalakas only, and the remaining was used to clad the main part of the temple, which include the doors, the roof and the walls of the Sanctum Sanctorum of Lord Ayyappa at Sannidhanam. Now comes the role of the sponsor, Unni Krishnan Poti, and he could not have done this alone, by the way. Let me clarify to the viewers. There is no way he could have done this alone. This involves a whole load of officials of the Travancore Devasam Board, the government and many other officials. We will know all that only after the detailed investigation is done. So let us come back to the role of the sponsor, Unni Krishnan Poti. He could not afford to do it himself. He is actually from Kerala, but he calls himself Bengaluru based, a small time priest who used to hang around in the Sabarimala temple, and in 2019 had sponsored the recladding of the Dwarapalaka idols and the Peetams. Now, why did he have such an interest? Did the Travancore Devasam Board call for a tender and see if there are more people who could do this? Why was it taken outside the Sannidhanam? More importantly, why did it take 35 days to transport the Peetams and the Dwarapalaka idol claddings from Sannidhanam to Chennai? 35 days, which means these claddings and the Peetams were taken to different places, put in different houses or big bungalows for businessmen to do pujas, and then finally they arrived in Chennai. In fact, Smart Creations, the company that does the work of cladding, says very clearly that they don't accept any work which already has gold on it, which means what came to them through Poti did not have gold plating or gold cladding on it. So where did the gold go? That is the question. Where did the 1.5 kgs of gold given by Vijay Mallya go? Where did it disappear in a matter of years? In fact, as I told you, Poti did not have the money for, so he roped in sponsors this way. He used to take this claddings, go to some businessman's house, put it there, do pujas and then take money from him. And there's no account for how much money he made in this entire thing. In fact, in an email that he wrote from another email ID, not his own email ID, he claimed that he has some more gold left. This is a mail he sent to Travancore Devasam Board. He says, sir, some gold left with him that actually belongs to the Travancore Devasam Board. And he said, what should I do with this gold? If you can give me some names of some young girls who need to get married, I will get them done. I will use this gold for that. Who authorized him? What happened to that gold? Nobody knows. In fact, this is the warranty card given by Smart Creations Chennai after the work last done on the Dwarapalaka's idols and the Peetams was in the name of Unni Krishnan Poti, not Travancore Devasam Board, who were the actual owners of that particular property. Actually, I asked you the same case. Why did it take such a long time to reach Chennai? Poti has been giving varying versions of it each time. He's becoming more confident. He claims that he has nothing to hide, which is correct because he was just a front for a big mafia that was using the gold from Sabarimala to sell it outside and make crores of rupees, and claiming that what was there as a cladding was only copper. In fact, some of the items that were reported missing from the temple were later recovered from the house of the sister of Unni Krishnan Poti. So we know how that thing has moved. In fact, the High Court has flagged that in 2025, Unni Krishnan himself has suggested using a balance of gold, as I told you, from a previous works for a wedding, raising the possibility that some temple gold was sold and misused. The High Court called this finding deeply disturbing. The court investigation and intervention, and because of these the red flags were raised and this matter has come now. In fact, the court took this as suo motu despite claims in the Communist Party newspaper Deshabhimani that it was the Travancore Devasam Board and Kerala government which ordered an inquiry. No, sorry, it was the High Court which clearly says in its judgment that we have constituted a committee and a special investigation team headed by a senior DGP to take care of this. In fact, the special investigation team headed by a DG level officer, as I told you, will have to dig deep into the discrepancies and alleged misappropriations and report back within a month back to the court. In fact, they told very clearly, they told this SIT not to speak to media or anybody before they submit the report to the court. The Kerala High Court also appointed a former judge, K.T. Shankaran, to oversee an inventory and valuation of the temple valuables, especially those connected with the Dwarapalaka idols and the return of the panels and statues of the temple to restore the sanctity. Now, you won't believe for the last 10 years, according to many sources, there's been no audit done of the Travancore Devaswam Board, which runs hundreds of temples. Imagine, there's no audit done. In fact, the 4-week deadline which for the SIT to wrap up the probe is actually very tight. It may have to really ask for an extension, because when it opens up this Pandora's box, there's going to be a huge amount of scams that will come out. And predictably so, there is a political backlash, and demands have been coming in that there was some minister, which is the kind of that takes care of the temple. It's called endowments in some state. It's called Devaswam in Kerala. And the UDF and BJP have been demanding the resignation of the past Devaswam minister and the present Devaswam minister, and of course the Travancore Devaswam Board officials, and calling for a CBI or a central agency to probe this. But for now, the Kerala High Court has constituted an SIT, and I think that's good enough because it's done under the court monitored supervision. They cannot go back to the Kerala state government and ask for instructions. In fact, the Kerala Assembly has been repeatedly disturbed even today over this issue. Officials in the Travancore Devaswam Board are being suspended, some of them, including a deputy commissioner called Murari Babu, who had earlier misreported material. Imagine, this was reported, and now they are saying it's misreported, that the copper cladding did not have gold on it. Yes, that's what he said. He was doing it under somebody's instructions. He was a very junior official. And obviously, this rot goes right to the top of the Kerala government. The Travancore Devaswam Board and Devaswam ministers say that they will cooperate and have welcomed the court-ordered probe. Now the question is the extent of the missing gold. Further revelations are coming out. Reports suggest that about 4.5 kg of gold is unaccounted from key cladding works. 4.5 kilograms of gold, and this was part of the gold given by Vijay Mallya. And now the question is, where did it go? In fact, the High Court has raised the possibility that the original gold cladding was sold off and the proceeds were misappropriated, given the conflicting records and statements of the Travancore Devaswam Board. The High Court has demanded all records of the past gold usage, 1999, 2019 and 2025, all be documented on recovery, reuse and the strong room storage of the temple valuables be audited. Now question is, why does it matter now? In fact, beyond the temple walls, what is happening? We all know that religious trust is very important for temples in our country. Temples and murtis are deeply symbolic and sacred spaces. Any charge of misuse of donor offerings or temple wealth strikes at the root of the trust of the devotees place in the temple authorities. The Travancore Devaswam Board is supposed to operate with autonomy and integrity, but it does not do so. The allegations suggest serious administrative lapses and possibly collusion with the mafia which sold this gold. Kerala has 4 Devaswams: the Travancore Devaswam Board, the Malabar Devaswam Board, and the Kochi Devaswam Board, and of course the Kudal Manikyam Devaswam Board, which is the Devaswam Board only for one temple, Kudal Manikyam, which is about 6 kilometers from my village in Thrissur district of Kerala. Because that temple was an all-powerful temple with lot of assets. Now everything has been stolen from that temple also, the Kudal Manikyam temple. It had 75,000 hectares of land at one time. It's hardly left with 50 acres of land now. Imagine 75,000 hectares to just 50 acres. The entire land has been knocked off. But it had a separate Devaswam Board, and there too needs an inquiry, because it's not just the gold that has been stolen, it's also land that has been stolen. Now the question is, the timing is sensitive because close to the 2026 assembly election, and Pinarayi Vijayan organized a global Ayyappa Sangam to bring his party closer to the Hindus. But the entire controversy has backfired. LDF and of course the BJP are not leaving a chance for this. There is a judicial oversight in this case, and this case underscores how courts can step in when public or religious institutions are suspected of irregularities, even in matters of faith. In case of Kerala, the devotees are lucky that there is a dedicated two-judge Devasam bench which handles all temple-related issues. It doesn't get tossed out between one judge to another judge. There's a dedicated bench. The Sabarimala temple and the original idol of Lord Ayyappa, which dates back centuries, was destroyed by a group of people in May 1950. The original murti was broken into pieces using an axe, and the sanctum sanctorum was set on fire. 1950 May. The present idol of Lord Ayyappa is a Panchaloha idol, whereas the original one was cast in stone. The report of the Inquiry Commission, which identified the culprits behind the fire and breaking of the idol of Lord Ayyappa, was hidden by the Kerala government for a long time. None of them who were named in the report were prosecuted, or even an FIR was filed against them. Now, what began as a question over the gold cladding repairs has ballooned into a full-blown probe, alleged theft and misappropriation, and institutional failure. The Kerala High Court's intervention, the political heat, and the involvement of a sponsor, a shady sponsor, has turned the central figure of Unnikrishnan Poti into a complex mix of temple mismanagement, governance, and accountability. Of course, this is just a tip of the iceberg, and once a detailed investigation is done by the SIT, I predict that a scam of humongous proportions is likely to surface. And this may not stop with Sabarimala. As I told you, there are thousands of temples in Kerala which are run by these Devasam boards, which are rich temples, and where all this may have taken place. And definitely, the administrators of these temples will face scrutiny. Let's wait and watch what happens in the next few days and weeks, and I'll keep you updated. Swami Sharanam.